Let's talk about perjury and how the right-wing Supreme Court justices, when they testified before the Senate and were asked questions about things like absolute presidential immunity, they said it absolutely doesn't exist. They cited Federalist Paper number 69 as an example and the text history and structure of the Constitution as precluding, as prohibiting any form of absolute presidential immunity. But when presented with the issue, the right-wing Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision authored by Justice John Roberts, the Chief Justice, found absolute presidential immunity. So take a look right here. This is Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh at his confirmation hearing in September of 2018. And here's what he had to say when he was asked under oath about the concept of absolute presidential immunity. Play the clip.
No one's above the law in the United States. That's a foundational principle that I've talked about, coming from Federalist 69, coming from the structure of the Constitution. We're all equal before the law in the United States of America. The foundation of our Constitution was that, as Hamilton explained in Federalist 69, the presidency would not be a monarchy, and it specified all the ways that under the Constitution, the president is not above the law. No one is above the law in the United States of America. The Constitution is not above the law. No one's above the law in the United States. Secondly, the president serves a term in office, not an unlimited term in office, again, specified in Federalist 69. The president is subject to the laws. No one's above the law in the United States, including the president of the United States. And that's something that is made clear in Federalist 69. Even in the national security context, where the Constitution gives the commander-in-chief power to the president remains subject to the law. A president is not above the law with respect to the criminal process. No one is above the law in our constitutional system. Federalist 69, Hamilton makes clear all the ways that the executive branch, as designed by the framers of the Constitution, was different from the monarchy.
When you think about this individual who is now also responsible for overturning Roe v. Wade, for allowing the proliferation of guns, for allowing the dissolution of the separation of church and state, for eroding and destroying the Voting Rights Act. Can we just take a look who this individual is and how he actually behaved during his confirmation hearing? Remember when he was asked this and how he spent the time during his confirmation hearing, Brett Kavanaugh did, talking about drinking beer and how he likes beer and getting drunk. And he asked Senator Klobuchar, do you get drunk? Here, play this clip.
Okay, drinking is one thing, but the concern is about truthfulness. And in your written testimony, you said sometimes you had too many drinks. Was there ever a time when you drank so much that you couldn't remember what happened or part of what happened the night before?
No, I remember what happened, and I think you've probably had beers, Senator, and so
you're saying there's never been a case where you drank so much that you didn't remember what happened the night before or part of what happened?
You're asking about, blackout. I don't know. Have you?
Could you answer the question, Judge? That's not happened. Is that your answer?
Yeah, and I'm curious if you have.
I have no drinking problem, Judge.
Yeah, nor do I.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that is the MAGA-appointed judge, Brett Kavanaugh, who's taking away your freedoms. Here's another clip from that confirmation hearing, just so you can see Brett Kavanaugh, now Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who Donald Trump appointed. Play this clip.
Chairman. Ms. Mitchell.
Dr. Ford has described you as being intoxicated at a party. Did you consume alcohol during your high school years?
Yes, we drank beer. My friends and I, the boys and girls. Yes, we drank beer. I liked beer. Still like beer. We drank beer. The drinking age, as I noted, was 18, so the seniors were legal. Senior year in high school, people were legal to drink, and we drank beer. And I said sometimes probably had too many beers, and sometimes other people had too many beers. We drank beer. We liked beer.
What do you consider to be too many beers?
I don't know. Whatever the chart says on your blood alcohol chart.
Show you the questioning by our vice president, Kamala Harris, when she was a senator from California. Here's what she asked Brett Kavanaugh, and listen to what he said there. Play this clip.
Can you think of any laws that give government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm happy to answer a more specific question, but
Male versus female.
there are medical procedures.
Okay? That the government has the power to make a decision about a man's body.
I thought you were asking about medical procedures that are unique to men.
I'll repeat the question. Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
This episode of the MeidasTouch podcast is brought to you by Manacora Honey, also known as honey with superpowers. Let me share something sweet with you, and I mean really sweet. It's something that's become a staple in my routine, and I think you are going to love it. I'm talking about Manacora Honey. When I say honey, you might be picturing those bear-shaped bottles in the supermarket, but that is not what this is. Manacora Honey is single origin, rich, creamy, and the most delicious honey you've ever had. It's supercharged with unique antioxidants and prebiotics, and is 3 times more than your average honey. Manacora Honey supports immunity, aids digestion, boosts energy, and helps balance inflammation. It's a game changer, and all you need is 1 to 3 teaspoons a day. On top of that, Manacora Honey has a natural antibacterial compound called MGO, only found in Manuka honey. So if you're looking for something simple and delicious to add to your wellness routine, we found your new healthy habit. And now it's easier than ever to try Manacora Honey with the starter kit. Just head to manacora.com/Meidas to get $25 off. The starter kit comes with an MGO 850 plus Manuka honey, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, plus a guidebook. Now, I love the jar and squeeze bottle, but the extra pack of compostable honey sticks is perfect for whenever you're on the go. You could bring them with you when you're traveling or need a quick snack running errands, and they are the perfect energy boost if you're out for a run or at the gym. That's manukora.com/Meidas to get $25 off your starter kit. This is the ultimate honey. Indulge and try some honey with superpowers from Manacora. Look, this stuff is amazing and really provides the pump I've been looking for. I look forward to Manacora every morning. Make sure you click the link in our description or head to manacora.com/Meidas and try some out today.
What we now know is that there were close to 5,000 credible tips that were not looked at by the FBI and by Trump lawyers about Brett Kavanaugh's inappropriate behavior. That's Brett Kavanaugh right there. Now, what did the Supreme Court justices say? Let's take a look at all of them committing perjury. When they were asked about Roe v. Wade and whether or not they would overturn Roe v. Wade, which is super precedent on top of precedent. Let's take a look. Each one of them, one after the other, lied under oath. Each one of them lied. Here, the Washington Post, they prepared a really good package right here showing the questions that these Supreme Court justices were asked and how each of them lied. Here, play this clip.
And I have no reason or agenda to prejudge the issue or to predispose to rule one way or the other on the issue of abortion.
Roe versus Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has reaffirmed the decision, sometimes on the merits, sometimes in Casey, based on stare decisis. And I think that when a decision is challenged and it is reaffirmed, that strengthens its value.
It is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. It was reaffirmed in Casey in 1992 and in several other cases. So a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
This is important precedent of the Supreme Court that's been reaffirmed many times, but then and this is the point I want to make that I think is important, Planned Parenthood versus Casey reaffirmed Roe and did so by considering the stare decisis factors. So Casey now becomes a precedent on precedent.
People use super precedent differently.
Okay.
The way that it's used in the scholarship and the way that I was using it in the article that you're reading from was to define cases that are so well settled that no political actors and no people seriously push for their overruling. And I'm answering a lot of questions about Roe, which I think indicates that Roe doesn't fall in that category. And scholars across the spectrum say that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled. But descriptively, it does mean that it's not a case that everyone has accepted and doesn't call for its overruling.
And I know that corporate media, specifically right now, wants to spend its time attacking President Biden, floating ridiculous hypotheticals of people who they think, should be running, even though it's not even feasible. And that's how they want to spend their time. But I want to show you, though, President Biden at the State of the Union, standing up against these Supreme Court justices, standing up to them and letting them know that what they did to women in overturning Roe v. Wade in the Dobbs decision was abhorrent. And I want you to watch the faces of these Trump appointees. You'll see there specifically Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Chief Justice Roberts. Alito doesn't even show up to these things. But just take a look as President Biden is calling them out to their faces. Here, play this clip.
My predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you were right about that. Clearly.
And President Biden, through his policies, through his actions, has done everything in his power, using executive orders, using all tools at his disposal to do his best to protect women's reproductive rights after the Dobbs decision overturned Roe v. Wade, securing even a recent victory in litigation over EMTALA, Emergency Medical Treatment Act, where the state of Idaho wanted to prevent women from getting emergency reproductive care, even if it would save their lives. And President Biden instituting a policy saying, no, emergency medical care, this is the federal government, and that trumps state law, no pun intended. And that's what President Biden's been doing, rolling up his sleeves, passing legislation, signing legislation each and every day, and doing the actual hard work and delivering for the American people. It's just that simple. And then you see right there what it looks like. These MAGA justices lie after lie after lie. And you see it for yourself right there. What is so critical right now is the makeup and composition of the Supreme Court. Just think that people showed up and voted for Hillary, and had it been different, where we'd be right now with climate, where we'd be right now with gun reform, where we'd be right now when it comes to stopping bad actors engaged in securities fraud, when it comes to women's reproductive rights. Just go through every one of the lists where we would be right now as a country. We'd be in a very different place. We'd have more freedoms. And that's I don't really care what political party. People would be enjoying far more freedoms now. And to have a decision saying that America can have kings, that there's something called absolute presidential immunity. And, and you heard right there Kavanaugh say that doesn't exist when he was questioned about it. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.